caucus's commemoration of the 1991 Paris Peace Accord. My name is Leventhal, and I am the co-chair of the caucus, of the Congressional Caucus on Cambodia. Today, I'm stepping back a little bit. Today is a fly-in day. What a fly-in day means that members are coming back from their home districts and have to be on the floor by 6:30. So we have some members who want to speak here today, and so I'm not quite sure when they're going to be arriving back. So Representative Sheila Jackson-Lee wants to address you on this issue. She is hoping to be here by around 5:30, if she can. She's flying in from Houston, Texas, and she believes her plane may be delayed a little bit. Same thing with my co-chair, Mr. Shabbat of Ohio. Hopefully he will be here. So some of our speakers we're going to shift around in the presentation who our speakers are. So I'm Alan Leventhal, and I'm the co-chair of this caucus. I want to thank all of our speakers that are going to be here with us today, and especially, again, although he's not here, I want to thank my co-chair, Steve Shabbat. You know, a lot of times we hear throughout the country that why can't we get things done? Republicans and Democrats do not work together. Well, I will tell you, on the Congressional Caucus on Cambodia, Republicans and Democrats speak in one voice. So what you're hearing is a bipartisan support, and you will see the bills that we introduce are bipartisan bills. Mr. Shabbat is a great partner of mine, and he is the co-chair as much as I am the co-chair, and I'm honored, literally honored to work with Steve Shabbat, who's been a wonderful person to work with. I'm also going to recognize Ted Yoho, who will be coming in, Congressman Yoho. I don't think he's here. Congressman Yoho will be coming in a little while. He too is the Republican ranking member, which means, as you know, those of you who know much about how we work here, the ranking member is the lead member of the minority party. And so Mr. Yoho is the ranking member on the Asia Subcommittee of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Mr. Yoho, a Republican, and I work together as one person. We have both, he introduced, when he was the chair, and I was on the Tom Lantos Commission, but we are both authors, co-sponsors of the Cambodian Democracy Act. Again, we speak with one voice, Democrats and Republicans. We are not divided on these issues. So Mr. Yoho from Florida will also be here today. And as I mentioned, he is the author, which I am the co-author on the Cambodian Democracy Act, which we know passed the House of Representatives earlier this year. I'm also going to thank the rest of our speakers. I'm just going to list them now. I'll go through later on the order of the speakers. But I really want to thank all the speakers. You know, this is really about hearing those speakers and understanding that this is a historic moment that we're living through. Maybe not the best moment in the history of what's going on in Cambodia, but it's historic that we're all here together to talk about what is the next step and what do we do. And so I'm really pleased, and I'll just list some of the folks, or the folks that will be addressing you later on. First is Mona Kemp, who is the CNRP Deputy Director General of Public Affairs. Then we're going to have Derek Mitchell, who is the President of the National Democratic Institute. Then we're going to have Tony Yap, who is the President of the Khmer People's Network for Cambodia. And I hope if I mispronounce your name, you will forgive me. Kim Hun Thit, who is the Chairwoman of the Women's Affairs for the CNRP of America and CNRP overseas. We have the Venerable Bud Bunten, who is here, and we have Janet Sen, President of the CNRP Women's Movement, the Global Networks, Women's Movement Global Networks. We're also intending, as I mentioned, to have Representative Chabot will be here, Representative Yoho will be here, and if her plane lands on time, Representative Sheila Jackson-Lee will be here. So this is an important event. So why are we here? We're here to honor the 28th anniversary of the Paris Peace Accord, which is also called the Comprehensive Cambodian Peace Agreement, which sought to ensure the rights of self-determination of the Cambodian people through free and fair elections. Today, we must recognize that Cambodia, under Prime Minister Hun Sen, no longer enjoys free and fair elections. The Paris Peace Accords promised full multi-party democracy. The Prime Minister Hun Sen has destroyed democracy, as promised by the agreement, by dissolving the main opposition party, jailing the CNRP President Kem Sokha, and threatening to arrest Sam Rainsy when he returns to Cambodia, which is expected to be on November 9th. This is not free and fair elections or a democracy that we know it. And I call upon the Cambodian government here, as it's reported, I think all the members of Congress call upon the Cambodian government to swiftly release Kem Sokha, to reinstate CNRP as a political party, and as well as to allow the CNRP members to hold their elected seats. We call upon that immediately to be done. The United States, as a signatory to the agreement, needs to step up our involvement in Cambodia if Cambodia does not take steps to secure democracy. Recently, to this end, I have introduced the Cambodian Trade Act, along with my friend Representative Chabot. We have both are the co-authors and co-sponsors of the Cambodia Trade Act in the House of Representatives, and the dual, this is a bipartisan, bicameral bill that we were introducing, and in the Senate, Senator Ted Cruz has introduced the same bill as we are doing in the House. And this bipartisan and bicameral legislation would require the Trump administration to reconsider Cambodia's preferential trade treatment under the General System of Preferences, GSP, which means that we give exemptions or we reduce tariffs on goods that Cambodia exports to the United States. We gave this preferential status in 1997 to increase aid and to support the fledgling democracy in Cambodia that was occurring, which we had hoped in the late 1990s. We passed this we gave Cambodia that preferential trade agreement. Cambodia currently exports more than $180 million in goods to the United States, duty-free under this program. So we are providing special treatment to Cambodia. But it is a belief of Representative Chabot, I hope many members of this House, and same thing in the Senate, in a bipartisan way, that trade and economic growth should not come at the price of democracy and freedom. That's the way it is. We should not be providing economic benefits, preferential trade treatment at the expense of democracy. We did that to promote democracy, to promote the results of the 1991, to help Cambodia as it moved towards democracy. Cambodia has violated that, not the United States. We want to promote better trade. We want to provide for Cambodian trade, but Cambodia must live up to its part of the bargain. As everybody who's here today knows, Cambodia has not lived up to its part of the bargain. We know that Hun Sen's regime has undermined the nation's path towards democracy by attempts to abolish all political opposition or dissent, and for that, it's our belief, Representative Shabbat and myself, and Senator Ted Cruz in the Senate, that Cambodia should not enjoy preferential trade privileges with the United States. You know that the European Union is also looking at the same issue of trade privileges because of the same thing. They too support Cambodia, would like to see Cambodia continue to move towards democracy, but EU is also looking at, as Cambodia also violates the 1991 Paris Agreement, which they agreed to, that they were a signature, that they would promote democracy. And as everyone in this room knows, they have not done that. So I want to thank everyone for joining you. You're really not here to hear me. You're here to talk to each other. I'm just a kind of convener and kind of work on your behalf. All the people in this room, we're not here to pick sides. We're not here to change governments. We are here to promote democracy and freedom, and ask this government to do what it promised to do, and to hold free and fair elections, and that it has not done at all. So with that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, and that will be Mona Kim, who is the CNRP Deputy Director General of Public Affairs.